A new study from an SMU psychologist sheds light on something you may be missing in your romantic relationship.
It turns out most of us are not so good at picking up on certain emotions in our significant other. Dan Godwin takes a look in tonight's Fox Forward.
Great to say hello to Chrystyna Kouros, Associate Professor of Psychology at SMU and the author of a study that could improve things on the domestic front for many of us. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
So this research you conducted will soon be published in the journal Family Process. And you took a sample of committed couples, most of them married, all of them living under the same roof with kids. And you discovered that when it comes to sensing and knowing what's really going on with our significant others, we've got some work to do, right?
We do, and we were specifically looking at being able to tell your partner is feeling during the day. So what's their mood like? So we had them answer not only their positive mood, how angry, irritable were they, but also how sad, lonely do you think your partner felt? And it's that sad and loneliness that we're not doing so well on.
Right, so in other words, we're not picking up on that. Now, we're not talking necessarily severe emotions that we're missing, but some more subtle things that we should take note of?
Right, exactly. Our mood fluctuates daily from day to day. We're a little more up, a little more down. So we're talking about those natural changes that happen in our emotions. And when couples are feeling a little more sad, a little more lonely, their partners aren't very good at picking up on it. What they're doing is they're just assuming that their partner feels the same they do. They make the assumption, well, how I felt is how my partner feels.
So what are the consequences then of this?
Right, so if you miss it on one day, probably not huge implications, but if you're missing these cues repeatedly day after day, you're missing opportunities to offer support to your partner, and over time this can accumulate to negatively impact the relationship.
So as far as lessons to be learned or takeaways from the study, what?
I would say first we have to just stop assuming we know what our partner is feeling, and maybe be more present and mindful of our partner, so we're more observant. On the other side, if you're feeling something, you also need to communicate it to your partner, not expect them to be a mind reader. And then offer gestures. So I wouldn't advocate, always continuously asking your partner, like, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay today? That could get annoying. But you could say, how was your day? Or if you do notice your partner is feeling a little bit, down and their style isn't to really have these deep conversations, maybe you offer a gesture like, I'll put the kids to bed tonight, to show that you have an understanding of how they're feeling.
And as far as your research methods go, just real quick, how was the data compiled?
So we had a wonderful group of families who volunteered their time to be part of this study. So every night we would send them a short survey, either a text message or email, and they would just answer some questions about how they were feeling and how they thought their partner was feeling.
And if someone was to ask, well, why do we have this limitation? Why can't we pick up on that? Someone we know so well, someone who's so important to us.
That's a fabulous question, and I don't think we fully understand the mechanism. So why is it that we're good with some emotions and not others? It could be that, these emotions of sadness and lonely, they're very subtle. So maybe they're not expressed as overtly and they're harder to pick up. Whereas if you're having a good day, that's a more overt expression. It might be easier to pick up on those emotions.
All right, Professor Kouros, thank you so much for the chat.
You.
To read more about Chrystyna's research on this topic, we've got a link at our website. Just go to fox4news.com and click on links.